Akati here. Today we're going to be going over our day one update on our Bleed Aura Lich. The build has turned out much better than I thought it would. It is very dependent on the gloves for a lot of success in the end game, but you can get up to and do empowered monoliths without the gloves, and so you're fine until you farm them up. The drop rate on them, I want to say, is probably somewhere between 3 to 5%. You just have to kill primal beasts. Just kill a bunch of primal beasts. As far as the playstyle goes, we did change things up from the original plan on the build. We are no longer using channeled skills and channeled festering stacks with Aura of Decay, only because channeled spells are really troublesome in different ways. Drain Life costs a lot of mana, and you have to stand still. Ghost Flame costs a lot of mana if you want to move around. Channeled Wandering Spirits is okay, but Channeled Wandering Spirits is not necessary when you have access to, what's it called? Death Seal, extending the duration of your Wandering Spirits. We also changed up our defenses a little bit. We are no longer going a low life, well, we're no longer going a 0 life ES build. We're now doing a hybrid build with Lich, which has turned out very good. And we'll talk about that in a little bit as well. But as you can see, the playstyle is run around, use your dash a lot, don't just click move. Your dash does not count as moving, and so you don't lose festering stacks, so you can maintain them better and longer if you're dashing around rather than moving around. Dash also is going to trigger your Death Seal Explosion, which puts bleeds out on targets and does a lot of damage, and so it's a 2-for-1 there. You're going to Wandering Plague twice on every group just to get a nice little spread going on your Wandering Plague. And your Plague also, your Spirit Plague. Your Spirit Plague also is a tremendous source of your bleeds, because the bleeds the Spirit Plague puts out are much bigger than normal bleeds, which we'll talk about when we look at Spirit Plague's tree. And you get 6 of them per cast and a very high cast rate with just passive cast that is on the Spirit Plague itself. And so it ends up being a really wonderful tool for clear and for single target and for scaling your other dots, the buffs that you get through Spirit Plague. And so you're basically just going to be running around Spirit Plaguing everything and then watching everything melt away. You do need to get them in the aura because they only have a debuff to their fizz while they're inside the aura. And so if you want to do the most damage, you are going to have to stand near the targets. We're utilizing Death Seal to be virtually invulnerable when we are near targets, with massive amounts of leech and the ability to defer all of 100% of our damage taken to damage over time, and then just surviving that damage over time with the tremendous amount of leech recovery that we have on the Lich. And so it ends up being a really great combination there for survivability. And so Death Seal is what you'll do, like this guy right here. We want to stand here and we want to stand in everything. We Death Seal, we come stand on him, we dump our bleeds on him, he dies. Easy peasy. Same thing goes for when we come over here to this little beast right here, or even this rare. If you want to stand in any of his abilities, you just Death Seal and stand in him. And Death Seal does have a cooldown, so it's not up all the time, but it's up enough of the time. It's like this beast right here. We'll just Death Seal, and then we'll stand next to him. You're going to be continuously dumping out Wandering Spirits. That is a large portion of our damage. And so make sure you are keeping that on cooldown. And then always Death Seal after you dump Spirits out, because it will extend the duration by 6 seconds on the Spirits, giving you essentially close to 100% uptime on your Wandering Spirits. Now let's, 2 Sanguineuses with LP. And the game wants to take care of me all of a sudden after abusing me all day long. All right. So let's take a look at our passive tree real quick. We have pulled completely out of Warlock for now, although we will eventually go back into Warlock. 31 in Acolyte, just as planned. Lich, we're going very, very heavy in Lich. We added in Corrupted Form and 2 out of 5 Impact Ward. I don't think damage over time taken bypass ward is a good thing for us because we're at low life too often as a result of Lich form, and so we're just taking the reduced damage there. But we may move that over to 5 out of 5 for both the 3-point bonus and the additional less damage over time taken. Corrupted Form is how we split our life and our health. The way this works is it takes your total health pool, we'll assume it's 3k, and it cuts it in half, and it says you can only have 1500 health, but you're always at low life, so you get all of your low life bonuses. For example, Dance with Death, effect tripled at low life. Then your ward maximum cannot exceed that same half of your health, 1500. So if you have 2k, if you have 3k life, you essentially have 1500 life, 1500 ward. Now we are low life all of the time, and we're missing half of our life all of the time. So Sanguineous is always giving us ward recovery. I don't think we need any more ward recovery than what Sanguineous offers. And so we'll just stick with only Sanguineous as our low life ward and the 2 nodes that we have on our tree for low life ward for a total of 30% missing life recovered as ward. Because our ward pool is very small, we don't need a lot of ward recovery, we don't need a lot of ward threshold, and we don't need a lot of ward generation because it's just going to be topping itself up very, very rapidly anyway. And then we're using Leech to top our health off as our primary source of defense there. Now this node does also give you 30% more health, multiplicative with every other source. And so essentially you're functioning at 65% of your health because you're getting 30% more, and then half of that bonus goes towards your health. And so you're compared to a pure life character, you're at 65% of the life of a pure life character, but you're 65% of the life and 65% ward. So you have 130% total life whenever you have your ward up. And I think this is going to work out very, very well for us. We do just need to make sure that we keep our life high enough so that we don't get one-shots. Again, we are taking a Cursed Feast for all of the damage leech. This is very, very important for us. Everything else is standard here. Mind over Body, Essence Devourer, Excoriating Insight, Unclosing Wounds, 3 Plagues to Spectral Wounds. Spectral Wounds is a 10% delay hit damage from bosses and rares, which when combined with Death Seal is 100% delayed hit damage from bosses and rares. So that's very, very important. And then, of course, Apocrypha and Dance with Death. And so that's how we're going to set up our passive tree on the character. As far as our skills go, we are going Death Seal, Aura of Decay, Reaper Form, Wandering Spirits, and Spirit Plague. Now, Spirit Plague, I've been playing with a lot of stuff here, so we'll talk about Spirit Plague first. We are going 3 out of 3 Toxic Transmission and 3 out of 3 Hemorrhage because of the gloves. That is 6 stacks of bleeds every time you cast Spirit Plague. We are taking Perpetuity so that we have 60% increased cast speed, which means a lot of stacks of bleeds very, very quickly administered through these 2 nodes here. Now, in order to scale these bleeds so that they are more damage, we are taking Pestilence, which gives us a total of 195% increased global damage over time while we're casting the stuff. Very, very good. And Rotten to the Core, which is 50% more damage, and Concentrated Rot, which is 50% more damage. Both of these affect the bleeds applied by Spirit Plague, so that is very, very, very strong scaling for those bleeds coming out. On Wandering Spirits, I toyed back and forth with Eternal Haunt and ended up with the Death Seal Entreat the Damned as a better solution, and just going 3 out of 3 Spirit Swarm here. And so the rest of the points are in Thin Veil, Familiar Souls, Lingering Souls, and Tethered Existence. These points can be moved around. I should probably pull 2 points out of here and then shift those 2 points back down into Tethered Existence. That is more damage than Familiar Souls is, and I think the lower move speed is also better for keeping them near the targets. There's also got 1 point over here in Spectral Scorn. I was just kind of testing that one out as well. We'll probably move that one and get it back over here into Thin Veil because I think the reveal rate is better overall than having the Spectral Scorn. And in fact, I think we're going to go ahead and pull Familiar Souls out completely and go Thin Veil and Tethered Existence with those 4 points. So that's where we'll go. This is like minor changes on the tree. You can do whatever you want, whatever feels best for you in your playstyle. There's not a lot of damage shifting there. It's just being picky. Now we go over to Death Seal again. We are in Treat the Damned for the plus 6 second duration on Wandering Spirits. If you Death Seal while Wandering Spirits are out, we need 2 out of 3 Glimpse of Pain in order to get to it. We need 5 out of 5 Corrupted Consciousness in order to get the Mortal Pulse and Tachycardia so that we have Death Seals when we Reap and Evade, which is very, very good for clear. And then 3 out of 3 for Desperate Shroud so that we have more tankiness during our Death Seal. Now, if you feel like you don't need any more tankiness in your Death Seal, you want it to last longer, you can pull one out here and put it over here into Moratorium for a longer duration. But do come down here and take Wave of Death into Lethal Release and Corporeal Cascade. This is very, very important because it turns your Death Seal damage into physical. Physical damage is something that we have a lot of scaling for anyway, so we do want to make sure that we get access to that. You can also pull some of Wave of Death out of here and put it up here into the duration if you would like to do that as well, just to move points around. Now for our Aura of Decay, I do have a Cage Soul with plus 3 Aura of Decay, so that does help with our Aura of Decay levels here. And so we are taking 3 out of 3 Plague Rat. This is area effect for Aura of Decay. This is like super critical, important. Make sure you do take this. It feels so bad with a small area of effect. I'm 2 out of 4 Absence of Life here, and I've been like playing with it. Sometimes it drop out of Lich form unintentionally because I've only got 2 out of 4 here. And then most of the times I'm okay. If you're falling out of Lich form way too often because you're slow between packs or you spend a lot of time looting, you may need to put 4 out of 4 here. But you can play around with this. You can just pull points from Mana Blight over here or Rotweaver over here to move points into Absence of Life. We are taking Fester and plus 4 stacks of Fester. This is a tremendous boost to our damage whenever we are standing still inside Death Seal spamming out Spirit Plagues as we scale up our Fester stacks to increase the damage dealt by our Aura of Decay. You do need to come down here and take Fume Weaver. This is a tremendous amount of damage for all of your bleeds on the target. You do need to take Blood Font, of course, to convert it over to bleeds. And then these ailment frequencies here only take once you have Exsanguinous. Before you have Exsanguinous, this is going to scale your self bleeds up way too fast. You're not going to be able to recover. So only take these nodes once you do have access to Exsanguinous. And finally, over here on Reaper form, we go 4-4-4 for damage, damage, damage. And then we go 4 here for less health drain and increased damage over time. 4 for armor per point of intelligence. You can go up here for necrotic resistance and poison resistance if you need it, but you probably shouldn't. And then finally 2 out of 4 here for Harbinger of Blood, just to increase our healing effectiveness so that we can stay in the form a little bit easier with the healing from Aura of Decay. And that is how you're going to set up your passive tree and your skills. Finally, for the items, this is kind of where we're sitting right now. I did get a Carrion with okay rolls. I also got a Carrion with absolutely crappy abysmal rolls, and we're going to want one with even better rolls than this. And then eventually try to get one with LP so we can LP it. I'm currently just using a Spear because it had a T6 damage over time. I crafted on Fizz damage. I sealed off Shock so that I could get Bleed on there, and it had plus 5 all attributes on it already. This is just an okay Spear. There are much better options out there as far as weapons go, but I struggled really, really hard with weapons for a long time on this build and just could not get a good weapon for the build. I even used this wand temporarily because I was able to purchase it because the gloves would not drop. And this is a very good option to use before you get access to the gloves. Plus 4 to intelligence skills is a tremendous amount of points to scale the damage on your character. And then the spell damage does increase the damage from the bleeds on Spirit Plague. So that is a bonus as well. For our helm, we have just whatever I found. It's got int, it's got chance to inflict bleed. I don't have any more shards to level up chance to inflict bleed. But we're looking for health and health. I mean, that's what we're looking for on all our items. Down here, this is a horrible belt, but it had fizz damage. I need Ellie Res. I still need Ellie Res, and we need crit reduction. Boots, I got Imp move speed boots with armor and armor crit reduction on crit reduction boots. These are really, really solid until we get Blood of Exile. Our rings are just fizz damage with damage over time and a lot of fizz resistance, which we need to counteract the fizz resistance penalty from Aura of Decay. And then, of course, we have our relic here with the Aura of Decay bonus levels as well as some increased damage. It's also got health regen and health on it. Not really important. It's just kind of what we had. It's an Aura of Decay relic, and that's all I cared about. I will probably be slamming this plus Aura of Decay into a unique relic because this relic itself is kind of poo-poo. And so as soon as I get a good relic, I can slam this into a Muramasa, maybe for Spirit Plague scaling or something else good that we can do something with that. For our idols, I did go with these large immortal idols for ward per second and increased health, ward per second, increased health. Really, all I care about is the increased health there. The ward per second is just kind of icing on the cake. And then we're trying to Weaver roll these to all have ward per second or ward per second decay threshold or increased damage over time endurance, just something useful on them. It doesn't matter what it is. And then I'm using these to fill out resistances right now. My resistances are still very lacking, and so we are working on those. 43% Ellie Res, 66% Fizz, 13% Void. But that is why we are doing Reign of the Dragons right now, because I would like to have either the Bleed greater one, or I would like to have the All Res. Either one of those will work. And just spam out Spirit Plagues into the target. As you can see, we get our bleed stacks up to like the 400 range pretty rapidly. And they do really good damage. And this is just Empowered Emperor. I don't have any corruption yet on this timeline. Although we can throw a little bit of corruption on the timeline. We got 93% bleed. No all res. I will take the 93% bleed for now. None of these boss fights are particularly challenging, but we can take a hit or two if we need to. While we're here, we can go ahead and do a Shade of Orbis as well. Get some corruption going. And we'll just Death Seal and Face Tank. Fun stuff. I mean, you could have dodged out of that, but I just want to show you what we can do with Death Seal if you get stuck in a boss mechanic that you can't get out of. You can just seal away, face tank it. Ooh, and a 2 LP Siphon. Easy peasy. If you have any questions over this build, just drop a comment down below, come by Twitch, come by YouTube and ask. I'm happy to answer them, and we will continue working on the build and seeing what we can do with it as we progress through day 2 tomorrow. Thank y'all very much for watching. Y'all have a wonderful day. Peace.